Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the BrainScratch Commentaries commentary of Sonic Unleashed. I totally saw your style there, John.
Oh
Uh,
yeah, but that was like 3 years ago. Give it a little time, little Scott. We're better men now. We're better men.
More importantly, we can hear each other talk now.
Oh, look, it's that thing
good
that
point.
everybody says is
Yeah.
so cool.
Yeah.
It is.
Oh, I miss you,
It
little
is.
guy. Why couldn't you come back?
Well, since the Hedgehog Engine is fresh in our memories right now, they were originally going to actually, license the Hedgehog Engine for use in other games. I guess they realized after this game that, Sonic didn't quite have the reputation they needed to sell an engine, and also the engine was kind of a little too optimized for just this kind of game, so it's not really good for much else.
Well, I would also say the fact that this game, it shows how good it is, but it also shows that you can't. The PS3 wasn't powerful enough to run it smoothly at all times, so it was gonna.
No, I wouldn't even say it's that. I just think Sonic Unleashed, for as beautiful as it looks, I think wasn't optimized as well as it could be.
Optimization is a thing because the PlayStation 3 version doesn't technically have more places where the frame rate drops, but the PlayStation 3 version doesn't cap its frame rate at 30. It tries to go to 60 without really being able to do the frame rate better than the 360 version. So what happens is when the frame rate does tank, it's more obvious.
Yes.
Gorgeous opening is gorgeous.
Yeah, I didn't hear a word you were saying. I'm just like, God damn, this intro is still the greatest thing ever produced by man.
I can't hear you over the sound of Sonic Falcon punching an army of robots.
To this day, I still think this is the best intro of any Sonic game.
This is one of my favorite intros to any game ever.
This CG intro has a lot more to it than any CG intro that came after it in any of the more recent Sonic games, and I realize that's because after this they didn't put as much budget into the CG intro as they did here because they realized we've got a little less money to work with. Let's put it into the actual
Mr. Iizuka,
game.
we wasted all our money on the intro. What do we do? Shit.
I would say two things that make this better than the others is one, it's just its length. This is 6.5 minutes, and after this, most standard like intro CG scenes like a minute or two, if that. And also just this is the only cutscene in Sonic history where they use the full orchestra, and it sounds just amazing.
Yeah, and, a lot of people compared this game when it came out. A lot of people compared it to Super Mario Galaxy for some reason.
Well, it came out a year after Mario Galaxy is one thing, and for another thing, the titles, I can't hear anything but the Mario Galaxy theme whenever I hear this game's theme song. It's just, I don't know, I can't.
Eggman stick shit.
I don't hear it, but maybe I'm just focusing a little too much on the actual composition.
Yeah, to me they're discernible enough, but I think it's because, Mario Galaxy had an orchestral soundtrack, Sonic is his rival, he has a new game, it also has an orchestral soundtrack, so the Galaxy parallels kind of wrote themselves.
It's just a really fucking ironic complaint considering what Lost World did. But when you think about it, in concept, Unleashed and Galaxy can't be more opposite from each other, because this was a game where Sonic, who usually goes into space at some point in his game, starts out in space in a cutscene and then never goes there again for the rest of the game.
Yeah, it's like this is the ending of another game that we never got.
I remember before the game came out when we saw the supersonic cutscene. I remember reading a lot of people were thinking that this would start with like a supersonic intro stage, as we control supersonic destroying Eggman's ship and stuff, but we didn't get that. So that was the thing to bring up.
Well, I think after Sonic 06, they wanted to bring a sense of familiarity to the hardcore base. It's like, look, remember in classic Sonic, we had Supersonic in space, destroy Eggman and all that, and now we're gonna shit on it.
Is no one gonna mention the Dreamcast and Eggman's cockpit? No one gonna bring that up with Super Eggman Adventure.
He was still hoping for Shenmue 3 at the time.
The funny thing is that when the game first came out, not when the game first came out, when the trailers for the game first came out, everybody was like, oh my gosh, this is what we wanted a Sonic game to be. This is exactly what we wanted, and then people saw the werewolf and they were like, oh.
Yeah. Yeah, but I remember when this game was initially teased, it was only the only images we had was the world being destroyed and just like the modern Sonic pose. No mention of a werehog, anything like that. It was
I
just
think
Sonic
the
Unleashed.
first trailer might have had like the giant hand like smashing
Well, no, yeah,
the
yeah.
or something.
But I'm talking
That's-
about just like when it was first revealed.
Yeah.
Like we only had images. We'd only
Yeah,
showed
yeah.
modern Sonic and the world behind him being destroyed. So we're wondering, holy shit! I think Eggman finally used the Arc for its intended purpose. But then, yeah, I think it was it E3 of that year, 2007, I think, or
I'm
2008.
pretty sure that even when the first trailer for the game came out, it was just a modern Sonic gameplay, and there was maybe
No, the modern Sonic, modern Sonic
the very-
gameplay.
The very first teaser trailer, it was like Sonic flicking a ring around while he's whistling the main theme, and then you hear him kind of crawling off stage, and then the werehog's hand smashes the ring into a brick wall.
Yeah.
I remember that.
Fuck Sega.
That was a pretty sweet teaser trailer. I'll give it that. Like, I think the marketing for this game is probably the best marketing a Sonic game's had. I mean, like Generations had more trailers that showed more stuff, but like, look, did you guys ever see the kind of live-action film, like kind of pseudo-documentary, like there's something out in the world?
Yeah, I saw that too. That was like, what?
That was really good. I like that shit, and you know, it's. We've said it before, but the most cinematic cutscene. I love this cutscene. I wish I could marry this cutscene. I make sweet love to it every single night.
Sonic Unleashed, whatever else, has a lot put into it. The thing is, almost everything is put into the cutscenes, the cinematics, the music, and the daytime gameplay. When you get into the werehog, you start to realize that half of the game is absurdly low budget. And I don't really understand why.
The people say a lot of things in the development interviews throughout the last few years, and the one that stuck out to me the most was that I remember reading. I don't remember who was being interviewed, but the werehog was specifically added so that the game wasn't 2 hours long.
Yeah.
Well, that's the kind of thing that you could say about every Sonic game, you know, once the 3D era hit. Like, you know, that's why.
Yeah, I know, but it obviously it was a mentality that obviously didn't stick because after this we had colors, which is nothing but daytime level stages. And
it was mostly 2D though.
Yeah, but my point being is that people will buy that sort of game. It was about like 3 or 4 hours long at a comfortable pace, but who cared? Nobody cared because it's a solid game. Generations is about as long, and nobody cared because it's a solid game.
At this point, they were still afraid to bet on that horse. But one thing I will say about Generations is because of its length, Sega actually released it at less than full price. So
$10, you know.
Yeah, they took $10 off the price, you know.
Yeah.
$10 is $10.
It's more than Nintendo do. Fuck you.
Hey, that's $10 I could use to buy a sandwich or a Dead or Alive character.
Or some chocolate. Hey, Lewis, want some chocolate?
I could use some chocolate.
We haven't gotten to that one no character trope yet.
That's the guy on screen who says that thing about chocolate. Just get it? It's a foreshadowing of this game.
I think his name is Hershey.
You know, it's funny. The more time passes between this game and now, the more people on both sides of the fence just cool off on this character. I don't hear nearly the amount of hate for Chip that I used to, but nobody really likes him anymore either.
I do.
No, I still think he's kind of
You
an
don't
annoying
speak
little
for me,
prick.
Lewis.
No, it's just like when this game came out, it was a war between two sides: the pro-chippers and the anti-chippers. People died.
That sounds like the world's
The
worst anime.
fuck? There were civil wars over this shit, man.
Okay, so when Sonic becomes the werehog, how do his shoes grow spikes?
Exactly.
Because Dark Gaia.
Because Eggman.
No, his shoes don't just grow spikes, okay? His socks go Super Saiyan. Look at them.
Okay, and that moment there was the first instance of Sonic breaking the fourth wall, which he does it now at least once a game. I like it. I kind of like that tradition. It makes him more like Raphael. He'll just occasionally turn to the audience to say something.
If I'm honest, apart from the general voice acting quality, which is better in this game than it was in previous games, but not all the way there, apart from the general voice acting quality and the Monster of the Week storyline, I think Sonic Unleashed does hit a good balance between serious story and cartoony hedgehog story.
It's a kind of a shame. I'm gonna mention the voice acting in particular here, because this is, I think, where most people consider Griffith having like kind of a turning point where he actually started to like understand how to play Sonic. And this is after 3 seasons of Sonic X and like 4 other games, but whatever. But after this, and especially Black Knight, it's a shame that by the time he finally got good, they ditched him. So
well, it's weird.
yeah.
Ted, speaking about that, he has said that for this game, he was specifically directed to play older. He was like, I'm not sure if I think it was a Sega voice director was just like, we've done, at this point he'd done a handful of games, and again, it's 3 seasons of X. And then apparently he was said, like, now let's try it this way, where he's older and more confident and cockier. Because like this is the first game in a while where they kind of bring back some of his cockiness, which it would be kind of, some people would argue would have been overkilled in colors, but then, this is the first where he's just like, saying how awesome he is a few times. I like it.
Yeah, he's pretty mellow in this game throughout. I would. You mentioned cockier attitude. I would say mellow, because he doesn't really do anything zany.
He less cocky and more confident.
Well, I'd say cocky doesn't dictate zany, but as we're going to see in the upcoming cutscene, one of the first lines Sonic says is, "Yeah, this is the real me, pretty cool, isn't it? Get it? Because I'm cool."
Yeah.
Why won't you love me, Chip? Why won't you love me?
Sonic has always kind of had that personality, even when he didn't have a voice. But
I thought you were going to say he's always had that personality when he didn't have a personality.
After S-ranking the like half-minute length tutorial stage, we're in the hub world. We get ourselves. I like this cutscene of Sonic one-handed juggling the priceless artifacts of ultimate power. But yeah. Also, Chip, I'm pretty sure that's not how wings work.
Wait, hold on. If the Chaos Emeralds are grayed out like this, shouldn't we just be able to be really, really happy and bring them back to life that way? That's what Sonic Adventure said, or something.
The positive energy of the Chaos Emeralds, yeah.
It's Mario.
But I guess we can assume that Eggman learned from that and made sure to suck out that energy as well.
Or he could have just dropped Sonic out of the air shaft and left the Chaos Emeralds in his base where he could use them.
Although Ted, to be fair, that is a plot point. That is a plot point that comes up.
Yeah, Orbot later grills him for
that. You mean SA55?
I love this ice cream, okay? This ice cream right here, the ice cream in this cutscene is still, hands down, the best 3D model I've seen in a video game. Okay, it's a food model that makes me want to eat it.
There's pizza in that ice cream.
No, it's not pizza. No, that's
it's wafer cookies.
Oh.
Yeah, it's a waffle. It's a waffle wafer cookie, and I've had those. Those are really good.
Does anyone remember when the Japanese version leaked and like some people uploaded like the first few cutscenes? And I remember to avoid it getting like found by Sega, this cutscene in particular was called. And I remember it was "Pessimists Beware, the ice cream will own you." I always thought that was a hilarious title to give it.
So that's what this cutscene shall now be known as forever and of
Pessimists
all time.
beware, the ice cream will own you.
On the subject of the ice cream, though, one of the things they really paid attention to when making this game was the food. And I remember them talking about this specifically because the food, they wanted to emphasize it because food is one of the big things that gives different parts of the world its own unique character. And I will compliment the hub worlds in general in this game because it is kind of nice going through different cities and stuff all around the world, except for Empire City, which is kind of familiar territory for me, and it's familiar territory with a really shitty frame rate.
Just like real life.
I played the Wii version of this game, so I got menus for Hub World.
Unleashed.
Unleashed. Yeah.
I actually got the Wii version first myself because it came out a little earlier than the
Same
360 version.
It plays okay, and to be honest, having the menus for Hub Worlds at least means you get to the levels a little bit faster, but it kind of shows the low budget of it.
Well, I mean, to be fair, the Wii version does have hub worlds in the shape of the Gaia gates. Those are like 3D things you can walk around. Though again, as
Those things.
Those were annoying.
Well, it's weird because like in terms of the hub worlds, I love the style and what they're going for. But sometimes when you have to find specific things and stuff, I kind of prefer the Wii versions where just like just press some buttons and you get to the level.
I remember when we were doing this at the panel, everyone just went, oh, at the same time when I missed that jump, and they grilled me for it. When I went back, and they started bugging me like I was being super kleptomaniac, but no, that was a sun medal there. I need every fucking one of those things I can get.
Yeah. I think I'm actually like, what's this going backwards nonsense, Lewis?
You need 120 sun medals to get into the final mandatory day stage, which is twice the number that's required for the optional day stage you unlock after beating that day stage.
What?
So,
What?
yeah, it's weird. There's an option. The optional day stages in Adabat require like something like 70 days sun medals. The mandatory one requires 120, and 120 medals is the most medals in the game that you'll ever actually need to get into a level. The rest are just there so that you have more medals to pick up, so it's easier to get to 120. It's stupid, but nobody likes the medals system.
I said this before, I'll say it again. Unleashed being the first to introduce the 3D boost formula, because boost formula has been there with Sonic technically since Rush. But there is a mentality that you either go with or you don't do it at all, and that's exploration. And I think Unleashed, yeah.
Why did you jump over that, Lewis? What was going through your mind?
Unleashed encourages you to go super fucking fast.
Like that. Off a cliff.
Why is there that little gap between the wall and the springs? Okay? You've got a frickin' long line of springs that looks like it's meant to stop you from running past it at all, and then you put that little tiny gap there. I don't know what's more impressive. The fact that I actually somehow managed to get in between the springs and the wall, or the fact that someone decided to troll us by putting that gap there in the first place.
I should say that I watching it at the panel, I would occasionally look over at MBM, who he speed runs, and he just had this look of disgust at this run of the level.
Okay, this is weird to say, but I will never speedrun a Sonic Unleashed level, and here's why. Because legitimate speedruns of this game rely so much on glitches and shortcuts you're not supposed to be allowed to take.
Well, that's just speedruns in general.
Well, there's also different categories, mind you. There's one without glitches and one with glitches. It's all a matter of what you want to do.
Yeah, but then when you try to speedrun the game without glitches, another issue of the game's fundamental design mentality shows itself. And that's the fact that there's really no variation in where you can go or what you can do along the way.
But that's what I was getting at earlier. You know, because you have to collect the medals, you have to have an explorative mindset with Sonic Unleashed, but I don't think Sonic Unleashed does that very well, because with this level design, a lot of it being linear hallways, you are encouraged to hit that boost button as often as you can, to go as fast as you can. But now suddenly you got roadblocks that materialize saying that actually you should have been exploring what you've been running all over through. And it's like, oh, well, I certainly wasn't encouraged to do that.
It's a difference between if you're playing something like a Banjo-Kazooie or whatever, the level design's open, so, that's the point of the game, is to look for stuff, and that's not a problem there. But if you're playing a Sonic game, especially one like this where the level design basically encourages you to go faster, 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 Sonic X. It's a little bit more. I
would say that Sonic level design did not discourage looking around for things until Sonic Adventure 2.
You could find crap in Adventure.
No, in Sonic Adventure 2, levels got narrower.
A little bit
narrower, straighter, and you couldn't backtrack because a lot of the level construction, most particularly rails and homing chains, did not allow for it.
It's true that Adventure 2 was definitely streamline more of Adventure 1's design, but that game still feels more explorative than Unleashed.
Oh yeah, to be sure.
Because look, to get technical here, I realize Unleash does sport multiple pathways, a Sonic staple since the first game. Is that I don't think they got that down pat until Generations.
Rarely does it really become a multiple pathways thing. It's more like you have different rail tracks along the way that just constitute 2-second detours off the main path.
Well, cause that's just the inherent design of Unleash, because you're going so fast. But that's not what I'm talking about.
It's more like kart racer design than platforming level design, though. And I'm not saying that as a terribly bad thing, because for this style of gameplay it works. It's just kind of weak compared to Generations level design.
It works in the sense of you're running through the levels. It's again, the level design does not... Like, there was one point where you had to go off the beaten path and down a flight of stairs in order to find a medal, and it's just, you would never think to do that, because if I were thinking about this level design, jumping off the edge would probably be a bottomless pit, so...
It looks like it should just be a background element, but it's actually a very small...
Yeah, it's something you can explore. Which, if it was in the adventure games where you didn't have a boost button, I think would be more obvious.
A little bit, yeah.
It just sort of feels like the collectibles in the day stages were just sort of put there as an afterthought.
Oh, absolutely.
Mario's sad.
Ice cream, no bueno.
Sonic, what happened?
Yoink.
Mr. Fantastic!
Hey, look, I ripped off another Sega franchise. Now it's mine.
Can I just say, what was, like, so at this point the werewolf doesn't know he has stretchy arms. So what was Sonic hoping to accomplish standing like 100 feet away, just holding his arm out?
Ice cream,
What was his end game in there?
Maybe he thought he was a Jedi and he could forcefully his hand.
I also just want to point out in that cutscene when Sonic turns into the werewolf, I knew for a fact after because in the intro we see him turn, but I was like, I bet you in game they're just gonna have some kind of like puff of smoke appear, and he'll go from werewolf to Sonic, because these are obviously two different models, and it would probably take too much time to render like an actual animation for him to transform back in and out with his in-game model. Sega, you corner cutting pieces of shit. They hate you.
Hey, they could have been even lazier and just cut the chip going, oh, and then Sonic turns into the werewolf off screen. They could have done
like
that.
a bad 70s movie. I would have loved that. That would have been amazing.
Someone make an edit of that now.